just something about stepping into a college town, being near campus, you feel that energy. Like it is palpable. You feel it around you. And as long as that still exists in the sport, college football is not going anywhere. Like you can expand the playoff to 128 teams. You can do whatever it is that gets people mad on Twitter. They're still going to show up if that feeling is the same. Because the same feeling I had walking into a Florida LSU game at 5 years old is what I'm still chasing every weekend. Like that's why I keep coming back, because that memory is so strong. And it just kind of what you said, the traditions and pageantry and all the stuff that goes into making college football unique and different and just totally on its own among American sports. That's why people keep coming back. And that's really what I'm trying to capture.
Yeah, fire up the grill, crank the speakers loud. Saturdays feel holy in this college crowd. Seth and James on the mic, preaching gospel truth. Talking rivalries, legends, red, black, gold, and blue. From Death Valley Lights to the Camp Randall Code. They're telling stories that never get old. Ain't no bench warm hearts on the show tonight. They're walking on proud on the stadium lights. They're the preferred walk on. No scholarship, still putting it on. From the church of tailgate, hands in.
Welcome to the Preferred Walk-On Show, the People's College Football Show. I am your host, Seth Saunders, and maybe no other guest in the history of our show gets it as much as our guest tonight. We are a show that celebrates a culture of college football as much as we do the game of college football, and there's nobody that gets that more than our guest tonight. He has crisscrossed the country, been to stadiums from coast to coast, and has experienced college towns at their best, and we are fired up to talk to him. Josh Sims, a CFB travel guy, on all your social media handles. He is a must-follow. Josh, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks so much for having me, man.
Well, I've been trying to get you on for a while because I love what you do. And I just want to hear about it, mainly. This is selfishly for me as much as it is for our listeners. So for anybody who is uninitiated, tell them a little bit about your story and what you do. Like I alluded to, you've got awesome social media accounts that to me are must follow because you are making adventures every weekend, man, in the fall and experiencing everything that's great about this game that we love. So let's just start there, man. Just give us a little intro to kind of what you do and what you love.
Well, the backstory isn't quite as fun as I'd hope it would be. I went to the University of Florida. I'm sorry to all your dog listeners out there. But after I graduated, hosted a tailgate on campus. So that was my Saturday routine. I'd drive up to Gainesville from Tampa, where I live, host a tailgate for friends. We'd have a great time. We'd go to the game, go back home. I'd make road trips to watch the Gators play on a pretty regular basis. Always loved kind of getting out and seeing the other sites that I see. But around 2017, just kind of hit that age where everybody's starting to have families and kids, and it gets a lot harder with Gainesville being still kind of in the middle of the state. People are still mostly driving from Tampa, Jacksonville, Orlando, wherever it may be. Tailgate just started to dwindle a little bit. And I think you kind of see that once you get to a certain age. So as that happened, I started to think, I should just maybe start checking out some other places. If the tailgate's not going to be as lively as it once was, why am I watching Florida play the Citadel when I could go check out some other place?
Yeah.
And then it really just kind of synced up. I've got 3 older brothers. The closest age to be is a pilot. So he became a commercial airline pilot right there in 2017, 2018, and kind of had only a few options of where he could be stationed. His wife's from Michigan, so he ended up choosing to be up there. They lived in Ypsilanti he was based out of Detroit ports to the day. We're Southern. Parents went to LSU side. My family has deep LSU roots. So we kind of grew up with that frame of mind. But once he was up there, it's like, let's just go check out some Big Ten sites.
Yeah.
So really starting in 2018, we hit Purdue, Nebraska, Michigan, a handful of other Big Ten schools. And that really just kind of started to scratch the itch a little bit. And, time to get that itch scratched and just become cheer. That's kind of how it evolved. So there, continue on the games. 2020 with COVID, obviously, was a setback, but really started then. And then back in 2023 season, one of my buddies in the off season leading up to that really just said, dude, you got to start posting all this stuff. Cause he knows I like to research where I'm going. I want to go to the restaurants that have been there for 70 years that every camp has. I want to see the traditions that I've only seen on TV. to experience those up close. So really just trying to cover all those bases, not just go to a game, but really experience the whole campus environment and the way that energy builds, starting on a Friday afternoon when classes let out and just all the way through the weekend. Get the best of what each town has to offer.
Yeah, so I think that's what I have enjoyed most about following your journey is that exactly what you said, right? It's not just, and I think this is the beauty of the sport in general, is obviously the 3.5 hours on Saturdays or Friday nights or whatever it may be gets all the pub, and as it should, because that's the star of the show. But I think the supporting characters in all this are the towns themselves and the restaurants that are there, the bars that are there, and man, the scenes, right? That kind of, I feel like college towns in so many ways are a magnet and they just draw people back. It's like you can't not go back. It's always pulling on you. And I think you celebrate that. And I think that's what's so cool about what you do. And I think you're doing a great job through your feed of highlighting those things, right? And then it almost gives you a front row seat as the consumer of that to kind of see that and experience those towns, which is awesome. And so tell me this a little bit, like logistics wise, okay? How do you set up the weekends? How far in advance do you have to plan? How pliable is the schedule? Like, how does all that look?
So that's kind of the sausage making that I haven't talked about a lot, but would like to start doing more just to help people out as they try to plan trips. One of the coolest things about starting this page, something that I really wasn't counting on, it was really just to share stuff more easily with friends and have them able to share with their friends without, all being kind of my personal account. I wanted to separate that with just football stuff. And that's really kind of the way it started. But one of the coolest things has been the number of people who have reached out and said, I decided to go to one game a year with my brother.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. So help us figure this out. Where should we go? What's the stuff we have to do? And you get a lot of those where I actually had one guy a couple months ago that his dad has got older, has some issues. So they want to hit a couple sites this fall and just kind of talking through that and the logistics and how it works and how you find hotel rooms and flights and kind of that whole shebang of how you actually logistically plan out a trip. Yeah. And for me, it does start there. I think about it all here because I'm always thinking of college football and college sports in general. And it kind of started on that time, more 2016, 2017, that I started to figure out the credit card points game. Yeah, and that's honestly been a big piece of it, being able to do that early on. And then having a brother pot also helps a lot. Buddy pass on United, so can basically fly to Hut, standby for very cheap. Yeah. So that's been helpful.
Yep.
But in terms of the actual planning and the stuff that I post about most, it's really just taking the time to research each place during the off season before I go. I have the most ridiculous set of spreadsheets, kind of map out where I've been, where I want to go, how many times I've been to each place. And then the scheduling spreadsheet is just out of this world. A fellow dog of yours started the fbschedules.com. Yeah. The single greatest site on the internet for somebody like me. I mean, I use that thing at least 2 or 3 times a day. Just looking at, wait, when's this game? Should I maybe switch this around? And really when I was first starting, because I didn't have as much flexibility, didn't have kind of the brother buddy pass privileges, I did plan the entire season way in advance, and there was no altering it. I mean, my plans were set, and I didn't really have the opportunity or ability to change those. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that works out incredibly well. The 2019 season, I had the most insane run of consecutive games. I think I went to 7 straight that were top 15 matchups. Of those, 6 were top 10.
Wow.
And 5 hosted game day. So it's like
incredible.
It was on me around, not the other way.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes you kind of luck into that and you get some really, really great games. And then as I've started to explore more, I've taken so much joy to find a place that people necessarily think of right off the bat that turn out to be incredible. Like nobody that told me that Pullman, Washington, for a Washington State Thursday night game against Colorado would be one of my favorite college football experiences, but it was. So from a planning standpoint, there is a lot of kind of nitty gritty with planning and arranging flights and hotels. And I mean, I think your podcast would need to be about 7 hours to get through even just a little glimpse of that. But that's something I do intend to share more of over time.
Yeah, I'm interested in that just because, like, part of the reason I enjoy consuming the stuff you post is it's a passion of mine too. Like, there's nothing that I love more than a college football road trip. And it is, man. I feel like if you're into this stuff, the logistics is kind of, and this is going to sound weird to people who hate this stuff, it's kind of part of the fun of it. Like, the planning piece of it, like figuring out the puzzles, kind of fun, and like figuring out where you're going to stay and all those kinds of things, and then figuring out like where we're going to eat and where we're going to have drinks and all the different stuff. Like, that's part of the adventure, I feel like. But you brought up Pullman. I'm interested in this because I had a good buddy in law school that went to Wazoo, diehard Coug, and we were in law school back like 06 to 09. And, YouTube was obviously big then, but it wasn't like it is now. But dude, There was this song that this guy cut, and it's called the Pullman song. And so every time the Cougs would play on Saturday, he would crank this Pullman song in Boston, Massachusetts. And dude, it became like this anthem for us.
Love it.
So, yeah. So yeah, man, whenever I go to game day now, or like I'm at a game where game day's at, I'll go get a picture of the Cougs flag and send it to him.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's just so funny. So if you haven't heard the Pullman song, I'll send you the link. But
please,
it's a worthwhile listen. Yeah. Well, that's cool. I love that. So that leads me to my next question, which is, let's do this. What are the 5? I don't want to say obscure, but what are the 5 visits you've made, or even do top 3 visits you've made that just surprised the hell out of you, where you were like, this town and this environment kicks ass, and it totally snuck up on?
Yeah, I mean, Wazoo immediately comes to mind. That one, and I've said this to a bunch of people. Some of the schools, those names in the state tend to be very, very underrated. Like, even within the SEC, Mississippi State, people will dump on Starkville like there's no tomorrow. It's a great college town.
Yeah.
And those games are fun when they're decent and those cowbells are ringing. That's a fun place to be. And you kind of go throughout each conference and you see the same thing. Texas Tech, before they started spending all the money, I went there and I guess it was 22 or maybe 23 when they had an early season game. I think it was week 2 against Bo Nix in Oregon. And man, the environment there.
Yeah.
Student section just lined out the street, the best bar trips across from campus that I've seen. Lubbock was a great town. And I mean, when you come in from the airport, you don't expect it at all.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it is tumbleweeds, West Texas. I mean, every movie you've seen, it looked like a scene out of Hell or High Water. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but
yeah.
Lubbock is that stereotypical West Texas town. But then you get towards campus and it's green and it's beautiful and kind of matching stone everywhere. And you kind of, even if you're not an architecture person, you kind of appreciate the look and consistency of it. And then you get into that stadium. And they had it, they didn't have a checkerboard like Tennessee, but they had kind of the stripes going through in red and white.
Yeah.
You've got a mascot coming out on a horse, throwing tortillas there, reason that I'm not sure most things there still, I think, understand. There's just so much lore to that kind of stuff. Even a place that, has had its great moments. People remember the Crabtree catch against Texas and how big that was for Texas Tech. So it's a program that is legitimately part of the, Power 4 now. Is now really throwing its weight around because of some of the oil money. But it's also a place that sneaks up on you. I don't think people think to themselves, oh, I need to go to Lubbock.
Yeah.
But you do. And I would say the same for schools like NC State. I think going to Raleigh, where they have the big Bratton's retail, it's outfield, kind of set similar to South Carolina, where it's at fairgrounds. So there's a big open area. And you kind of walk this gauntlet from that area and kind of the bulk of the parking. And there are the people who have, whether it's, their short bus tailgates or, just the people who've paid money to be kind of in this corridor leading towards the stadium. You walk through there and they're just handing out food as you walk in. Like, hey, one more roadie and a hot dog. You've still got time before you get in the stadium.
Yeah.
And you experience some of those things and you go, NC State, really?
Yeah.
And then you get in the stadium, and I sat in a section where I was surrounded by folks in Raleigh who knew every player and what high school they went to, knew the parents' names, and it was much more like almost high school feel. There are just many unique things like that. There have been some really, really small schools that I enjoyed. Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
So I have become an inland Northwest person between that and University of Idaho and Kibbe Dome, seeing that
Yeah.
area. And that's
Yeah.
only 12 miles from Pullman, Washington, right across the border. And then not far from there, just kind of on the other side of Spokane, is what I found out. I thought it was pronounced Cheney, Washington. It's really Cheney, but just a very, very small town. I think it has maybe 2 stoplights.
Yeah.
And it has an old Mean Gene Okerlund pizza place there. And I mean,
I
just
love that.
got like 4 bars. They're all directly across one another.
Yeah.
Just one of those neat little towns, and actually had maybe the best breakfast place from my personal taste that I've ever been to. I mean, like easy top 5.
See, you're speaking my language now, because I am a huge proponent of FCS football. And so I think especially in that corridor of the country where FCS is the only show in town, boy, you got some world-class college towns that get no shine. Like,
I will tell you the 2 things that are absolutely on my bucket list, the things that if I could set the world in order, my real life, be able to do whatever I wanted at the time. 2 of the big ones would be to take the entire month of November and just work remotely, live at my brother's house in Michigan, just be the pest, kind of staying with my brother and sister-in-law, and just do weekday MACtion.
yeah.
The entire month of November, hit every school in MAC, and then on the weekends, go to Big Ten schools, all within driving distance. Because I think people forget up there in the Midwest, there are so many schools that are so close to one another that you can drive within, kind of a 3-hour radius, and you're within the zone of 25, 30 schools.
Yeah.
The same thing I would love to do is just get out to Big Sky Country. And just I think I would prefer to do maybe September out there.
Yeah.
And just kind of start off, and just for my own personal sake, do Yellowstone and, the Grand Tetons and all that in August, and just make it like a 6-week show.
Yeah.
Where I get to kind of see a lot of the stuff out west that I've always wanted to, but then also experience Big Sky Country. I think you talked with Jeff Collins about out to the Brawl of the Wild, and that is 1,000.
Yeah, that is with a bullet for me. My co-host and I have talked about this. I think, I don't think, we're going to do everything we can to make it happen this year. I had messaged with you. I was trying to make it happen for the Super Brawl last year.
Right, yeah.
For the playoff game. And both of those, both SIDs at Montana and Montana State have been really kind to us and really accommodating. And both were like, yes, come out. We'd love for you to come out. And the timing, to your point, like life gets in the way, right? We just couldn't figure it out. And with the time of year it was and trying to get out there with flight, man, it was just kind of a mess. But dude, they've already said it. Like, dude, Brawl of the Wild is November 21st. I'm pretty sure it's a noon local kick. Like, it all kind of works itself out pretty well. And I think, Josh, the way that season is setting up, that could very realistically be 1 versus 2 for the Big Sky title.
Yep.
And for home field throughout the FCS playoffs. And so, like, it could be massive. And Bobcats are defending national champs. It's getting played in Bozeman. Like, and I've tried to tell people this too, and I feel like you get this, but I feel like some people that don't consume FCS football, man. But there is no more bitter or heated rivalry in all of these United States than Montana and Montana State. They loathe each other.
Like, I'll be honest, I didn't really get it until I went to Eastern Washington, because they happened to be playing Montana State, and just talking with folks that showed in rows, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm getting from Bozeman to Cheney, not the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And they came in droves, and just talking to them, the pure, just unadulterated hatred they have for one another really is special.
Oh, it's special, man. Like, I love it. And it's funny because, we have become like you, where we're trying to post things that are kind of universal to the game. But you know how it happens. You post something about a school or a team, and the other side just assumes that you're one of them. And dude, I mean, the messages that I got.
I went to A&M last year, and man, I had the entire state of Texas just up in arms.
Yeah, dude. It cracks me up, but I love it because, like, that's the passion, right? And so, yeah, it's just really funny. Like, we posted a clip from talking with Coach Kennedy, just talking about how great Washington Grizzly Stadium is, which objectively It is. It's awesome. And dude, these Montana State fans are just wearing us out. Like, it's a dump. God, it's outstanding, man. I
Well, and you
love
hear
it.
the same. I mean, when I was, trying to everything I could to make the playoff game in Bozeman happen last year.
Yeah.
There's some folks I know who have worked and even coached in Montana, and they were like, "Who wants to go to Bozeman? You can go to Missoula. Just wait a couple years.
Yeah,
like it's not even worth going there." And I'm like, "Come on, FCS playoff game between two heated rivals, and you're telling me I shouldn't go?"
Yeah, exactly.
The other side that much? I mean, that's special.
That's the epitome of it, though. Well, dude, you bring up a good point, too. I love the Midwest point because we experienced that firsthand. We crossed paths without knowing we were crossing paths. You were at 2024 Old Oak and Bucket, which we were as well. We had started that weekend in Madison for Paul Bunyan's Axe. Brother, that is the coldest I think I've ever been as a spectator of the great sport of football. It was 11 a.m. kick in Madison, and it was a balmy 3 degrees outside of kick.
So, believe it or not, the coldest I've ever been, the temperature would not give it away.
Yeah.
But back in 2019, as part of just that incredible string of games I mentioned earlier, Penn State, Ohio State, 7-2 or whatever ranking at the top. I went to that. It's like 31, 32 degrees. I was comfortable. Like, it felt fine.
Yeah.
I had plans, and since I had spent all day, I actually got in there Thursday night, spent Thursday night, all day Friday in Columbus, was planning to go to Cleveland afterwards and do Cavs game Saturday night.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, go to a Browns game. That Browns game was also 31 degrees. I'm wearing pretty much the same stuff I had on the day before, just different undershirts because I'm from the South and that's all I got.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm going to be perfectly fine again, a little chilly, but, manageable. The way that the wind cuts off the lake through the Browns Stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say send shivers down your spine, there was not a single piece of me that wasn't shivering. I mean, it was the coldest I've ever been. It was 31 degrees outside, but I swear the wind chill, that lake effect wind, had to have, the feels like temperature had to have been like -70. It was unreal the way it just penetrated every bit of clothing.
That's how Madison was, right? Because it sits on the lake right there. Like, dude, we went to my buddy had never been to Madison. So I'm like, dude, I got to take you to the Union. Like, the Union is one of the coolest parts about Madison.
All the chairs out there when it's warmer out overlooking the lake. Yeah, it's awesome.
We walk out, nobody out there. Like, the chairs are like frozen. He's like, yeah, it's great, man. I'm like, see, man, you're not getting it. But dude, the wind off that lake, and then like, God, we were just freezing. Of course, we had the wise idea. We had pre-planned to do like a pregame show outside of Camp Randall. So we're just out there freezing our behinds off, taping this thing. And I will say this, they were prepared. As we're like walking to Camp Randall, we see this guy with like a big panel truck, and he's wheeling down off the panel truck like 7 different patio heaters that he's setting out around the truck in like a semicircle. And then inside the truck, he had 2 full-sized refrigerators with kegs put in them with 4 taps on each one.
Yeah.
I mean, they were ready to rip. And dude, it was 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I said, boy, these Badgers get after it.
I went to a night game, Michigan State in East Lansing. And that game sticks out in my mind for 3 reasons, I guess. One is that they don't allow anybody to really park directly next to the tailgating areas unless you're in the main lot right outside the stadium. So a lot of places where they're setting up on grass in the interior of campus, people were parking and just hauling stuff half mile. I'm like, what are you doing when it ends?
Yeah.
And same deal. They're sending people and having just waves to haul everything back over much longer distances than I've seen in other campuses. So that kind of stood out. There was also the widest array, kind of to your point in Madison. They had every conceivable method of heating available at tailgates. They had electric, they had propane, gas powered. They had, just simple little coal-fired, self-contained heating elements. There was even one guy out there, I probably from the Dearborn area, had his Euro going.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Ground, and I'm like, there is some Midwest ingenuity when it comes to dealing with the cold. They were out there all day early in the morning, again for a night game, and just had everything prepped and ready to go. I was amazed at just the variety of heating elements that exist to be used outdoors. Had no idea.
That's kind of what I remember about Old Oak and Bucket that year. Was, remember it snowed that night and like it was cold.
That was
day.
the first time I've actually had snow fall during a game.
And like that tailgate scene was the same, man. I feel like people were just getting after it, figuring it out. And like, so, okay, give me this because I feel very strongly about this and have told anyone that will listen. But Bloomington, I feel like, does not get talked about enough for being such an aces college town.
I tell people all the time, like, I think there's near universal agreement that Athens, Madison, Boulder are all somewhere in that top 10. I think people kind of universally agree on those. Anybody who doesn't have Bloomington in there, out of their mind. Way it's laid out, the way the campus is structured, the whole deal. I mean, it is top notch. And some of the best bars that I've been to in any college town.
Dude, I think, okay, first off, Nick's is its own animal. Super cool. Like the vibe in there is awesome all by itself. Then you add in the ability to eat the food and then play Sync the Biz. Like, dude, homie, top notch.
Sync the Biz at Nick's is one of those things that if you're a college football fan, you have to do. When I lived in Atlanta for 4 or 5 years after college and just happened to get in with a group of people that had gone to Purdue. So I had to have several very close friends that are Purdue alumni. And they told me for the Oak and Bucket, first of all, we're going to do everything we can to meet you there.
Yeah.
Even though they knew they were going to get waxed. The second thing was, if you don't do Sync the Biz at Nick's, you didn't even go to Bloomington.
Yeah. Well, so that was one for us. Dude, the other one I was surprised about. I did not know the game that Upstairs Pub had until we went. And like to see the full freaking scoreboard from Assembly Hall. Awesome.
Yeah.
Like just awesome.
That place is awesome.
Yeah.
And a lot easier to get into. I mean, you got to wait at Nick's.
Correct.
You can go to Upstairs Pub and just, you might wait a couple minutes, but you can get in and out of there and they'll pack you like sardine, but still worth it.
Dude, it's so great. Like I have become as much of an IU evangelist as anybody on this planet since we went, just because we just had an incredible time. I just remember thinking like, this is why we do what we do, and this is why we love it so much. This experience we just had in this town, like, and dude, it was Thanksgiving weekend, right? Like, so it's not even really like an actual weekend where like everybody was there and all the type stuff like that. So yeah, man, it's up there for sure. Now I got to ask you about this because I haven't been. And I'm just so interested to hear a firsthand account of it, but I need to hear about Army Navy.
I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. So as somebody who is a self-professed college football guy, like that's always been my sport. I've loved it since I was a kid. I used to watch Gary Danielson and Vern Lundquist do the CBS, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, kind of weird time, set aside its own day after championship weekend. Watch that game over and over again growing up because it was on. But I used to just kind of roll my eyes every time they would I thought they were going so overboard about the pageantry and what it meant and the feeling of it and how it is different from every other college football game, and really thought it was just BS. I mean, I was like, okay, you don't have to oversell it this much. But then you go and it is just different.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got veterans, when you've got officers who actually attended the academies, all converging in this one place. And then you have the cadets and midshipmen all dressed up in uniform. They're coming in and doing the marching at the stadium. It is a different game.
Yeah. Now, you've been to West.
I tell people all the time, it has changed my thinking to the degree that, kind of by the same token, I used to always see these rankings of top rivalries in college sports, and Army Navy, might be in the top 3. And I used to just, come on, no. Iron Bowl, Ohio State, Michigan. In basketball, you got North Carolina, Duke, Army Navy.
Yeah.
But to your point, you're starting, I did go to West years in the A championship game, too late. And being able to kind of tour that campus and just see how it's this fortress on the Hudson, that's real, and just the way on a day-to-day basis that place operates and the demands that these kids now, I mean, I'm old enough, I can call them kids. These 18 to 22-year-old kids are taking upon themselves with the discipline and kind of regimentation of what they do, it gives you a different feel and a different appreciation for those schools. And one thing stands out, there's kind of tunnel connect, because literally the campus at West Point is kind of up on a hillside built in, and there's a tunnel that kind of leads you down, and it's the Beat Navy tunnel. It's painted with a placard that everybody will reach up and touch, and it's there every single day. And they will end, I'm not sure about all the specifics of when they do it, but they will end all sorts of events with Go Army, Beat Navy. That's what they do. And it's the same in Annapolis, from what I'm told. I'm trying to get out there for the first time later this fall. But yeah, the service academies deserve a lot more hype and credit than even.
I think that the campus at West Point is probably one of the top 5 most beautiful campuses in all of America.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable. Like,
I told people, stand down by the water and look up at the chapel and vice versa. And yeah, I don't think anybody would disagree with you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited I'd like to go and see it now that they've done the renovation at the stadium.
Same. Yeah. They torn down that sideline when I was there. So it's kind of open. I forget what they call it there, but just kind of that little body of water right behind it. And yeah, that should be, just from the renderings and things I've seen, looks awesome.
Well, I can't advocate for and attest to the worthwhileness of taking the Annapolis trip too. So I'm glad you're going to do that, because you will love it. Annapolis it's funny, man, because they're both campuses built on water, but in very different ways. Right. And like,
yeah, I've been to Annapolis. It's not to
the stadium,
the Naval Academy base, or to the stadium.
Yeah. Like, because, Army Stadium is right on campus, and Navy Stadium is set off of campus, not far, but it's like its own thing. Like, it has its own dedicated parking lot.
Being the capital and kind of the historics there right around it. So yeah, it's definitely organized in a unique way.
Yeah. But I took my dad and we went they played UAB last year, and it was a lot of fun. Atmosphere was great. It was week 2, so it was super hot, but their pregame pageantry was really cool. Had the flyover, like, had a guy parachute in with the game ball. Like, I mean, it was aces, man. Like, I really enjoyed that. I was trying to set up last year where we were going to go to a UNLV game on Friday night. We were going to take a 5 a.m. flight from Vegas to Denver. We were going to go see Colorado play at noon, and then we were going to go see Air Force play at like 7:30. It's going to be awesome. And it was all kind of laying itself out. And again, my life at home took precedent, but it would have been an epic weekend the way the timing had laid itself out.
I can't remember which year it was. It seems like it was a while back though, but I think there was a Thursday night Air Force, Friday night Colorado State, Saturday Wyoming, because people don't realize how close those are, despite being different states. Colorado and Wyoming are not far from one another.
Yeah. Dude, this has become my new thing. Is, to your point, you're talking about looking at the schedules and stuff. I'll get on and be like, okay, if we hit this one, could the game times work where we could pop and hit this next one? Or the best is if you could catch a Thursday, Friday, Saturday trifecta.
Right.
And dude, the one I've thought about is, you talked about NC State. The Triangle is a perfect spot because you got 3 campuses there. And then, dude, Wake is not that far of a drive.
I've actually done Wake and NC State same day.
Same day?
Nooner and at 8 o'clock, yeah.
Perfect.
And it was actually, the Nooner was Clemson Wake when they went in the triple overtime.
Yeah.
Good one.
Dude, that's a cool campus, and that stadium is cool for its size, I think. That setting's cool.
Being that they were playing Clemson, on the one end zone, they've got their little hill there.
Yeah.
It's hill in the ACC. Just kept walking around telling Clemson fans that. They took it really well.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. There's a good slate the weekend of September 19th where Wake plays Friday night against Miami. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Wake plays Miami Friday night, and then Clemson plays
Wake, ECU, NC State. I know, I've seen that.
Yeah, I think that's right. But I was going to say Clemson plays Carolina in Clemson on Saturday.
Okay.
So you could do Wake Friday night, pop down, do Death Valley, or as some would say, the other Death Valley, depending on what your vantage point is.
Right.
I said this, Josh, and I think given your lineage, you would have a good say in this. But I said when they set up the LSU Clemson game, there should have been a wager that whoever lost couldn't use Death Valley for the entire season.
I totally agree. They should have put some additional stakes on it.
Yes,
but
like
I think Clemson fans take that a little bit more seriously than LSU fans do.
I think so too.
Some of the lore behind it with LSU, they get more upset about Clemson using Tiger Rag.
Yeah.
It's their post-touchdown song than they do about Death Valley.
Which is fun.
That's because there's really no disputing. Like, I had a Clemson fan argue me once when I was living in Atlanta that they had Tiger Rag first. I'm like, so you got a jazz song called Tiger Rag invented in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And it made its way to Clemson, South Carolina before it did 45 minutes down the road to Baton Rouge. Really?
Yeah.
So like there's more, but with the Death Valley thing, it was really Death Valley, DEAF, because of the noise in LSU. And that kind of evolved into Death Valley over time. Because I remember as a kid, the PMAC, P. Maravich Assembly Center, when Shaq was playing there, they called it the Death Dog.
Yeah.
And it came back to that same thing. So I think there are a fair number, I wouldn't say even a majority, but a pretty good number of LSU fans, I think, kind of know that that's how the origin of Death Valley started at LSU, and they really had nothing to do with Clemson.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's as much tension there. I think they get much more upset that Clemson plays Tiger Rag and then plays it incorrectly, according to LSU fans.
Plus, I just think inherently, and maybe this is my bias showing, but I just think inherently there's a little bit of little brother syndrome with the ACC when it comes to football. So, like, yeah. I think there's some of that there as well. Okay, tell me this before I let you go, because you've been generous with your time. What is the
all day here? I'm looking at the counter up there and saying 39 minutes. I'm like, dude, I could go another 2 hours.
What is the trip this year that you're most excited about or most looking forward to?
It's a great question because there is more flexibility in my schedule now. So there are some kind of flex options and dates. If I can pull it off, and I'm not entirely sure I'll be able to, there's a handful of games in November that are kind of in those flex zones I haven't fully decided on yet. But there's kind of combo there that could work out really well where I could do multiple games in a weekend, but kind of that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like we were talking about. Part of the reason, are you familiar with CFB Campus Tour? He's kind of the to really getting around everywhere. And the reason he's able to get so many games in the weekend is because he's doing a doubleheader every single Saturday. And he's kind of capable of plotting that out. Now, there wasn't cons to that. He gets to see more places, but he doesn't really see everything around him. You know, I want to be in the place and be able to experience the town and the restaurants and the bars and kind of the whole vibe around just the game itself. Right. So I try not to do those things. I know I'm kind of getting off topic here, but one thing that's been on my mind that almost worked out, but I think it would really require another day. There's a Friday, Saturday, BYU, Colorado home game stretch. If that were a Thursday, Saturday, I could have done the train ride from one to the other.
That'd be cool.
Which goes through the mountains.
Yeah.
And that's something I wanted to do. But in terms of just really looking forward to a particular game, this is going to sound weird to some because it's the same day as LSU Ole Miss, which is unquestionably the biggest game of the early season. Ohio State, Texas may have a higher ranking, but just in terms of vitriol and everything else, it's going to be going into Lane Kiffin, going back to Oxford. That one's number one. Same weekend. Strictly as a homer, I'm going to Auburn or Florida Auburn at Jordan Hare at night. And it's somebody who grew up an LSU fan, but in Florida, to me, Florida and Auburn were massive rivals. Like that's the way Florida fans always looked at it. And one little known fact, depending on whether you believe Georgia's count of the cocktail party or Florida's, then Florida prior to 2002, when they went from 2 permanent crossover rivals to just 1 across divisions, Florida had played Auburn either the same number of times as Georgia or 1 more time than Georgia, depending on who you believe for the Florida-Georgia series. So
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Auburn was just as tenured of a rival in the SEC with Florida as Georgia was in the mind of Gator fans. It wasn't necessarily as heated. It was a more friendly rivalry. And you go back to the mid-90s, I'd interned for Danny Werfel back in the day. And when he was playing, Auburn had his number. That was the one team that upset him twice during that Spurrier run. So that game, I'm just hoping for Auburn's sake that they can get past these last several years that they've gone through, because that place at night is magical. I mean, I think Saban said, it's haunted, and it really is. You get Jordan on a good night, and man, that place absolutely rocks for what, 85, 88,000, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not one of the biggest in the SEC, but that place rocks incredibly hard.
And now it can add to its list of accolades. It is the house that launched Twitter sensation Freddie.
That's true. That is true. I'm not sure there's a higher honor.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, my co-host is fond of calling Jordan-Hare the Voodoo Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he's like, that place is just dark magic. The entire place.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, and just the fact that the way the SEC schedule evolved over time is, realignment, added teams, and we had 13 for a year and then 14. Florida has not played in Jordan-Hare since 2011. I was there. 15 years.
That's wild.
Between rivals that used to play every single year. Mm-hmm. So never more than 2 years playing one another.
Yeah.
Now 15 years since Florida's gone to Auburn.
All right. I can't let you go before I ask you this. I feel terrible that it's taken me 45 minutes to ask you this, but I got to talk food with you. So if somebody was like, okay, Josh, you could only eat for the rest of your life 5 places in college towns across this great nation, what are the 5 meals that you're telling me to have? And this can be inclusive of ice cream, my friend. I'm not opposed to this.
Good, because I was going to go there. I mean, I'm the self-proclaimed college dairy store expert of the United States. So
that's right. I'm here for that.
I mean, in the very first interview I did after starting social media stuff, I posted that video, and NPR was like, hey, you want to talk about college dairy stores? I'm like, that's all I want to talk about. As a matter of
exactly what I want to talk about.
Let's do that.
Oh, that's great.
All right, top 5 meals. We'll try to get a breakfast in there. So I'm going to go. I mentioned it earlier. There's a place in Cheney, Washington called Benny's, I think.
Okay.
But it's basically they make a couple dozen different varieties of Eggs Benedict. That's their thing. So they have like, the one I got was like Southwestern style Eggs Benedict. So, avocado salsa. It was on like a flat, crispy shell. I mean, just incredible stuff. And then they also had them on flights because, sometimes you got to get that pinky in the air and just have a good time.
That's it, man.
So that one's probably going to be my top breakfast spot, although it's in competition with another one up there in Moscow, Idaho.
Okay.
A place called Breakfast Club, where they had the most incredible, like, spicy French toast hot bread that I've pictured to fully describe this thing. But I think I go with Benny's and in Cheney. One meal's got to be barbecue.
Yep.
So then it comes down to, what do you consider a college town versus a city?
That's always fair.
Fun, right?
That's fair.
This is in Austin.
Yep.
Okay. Like I went to Interstellar Barbecue. Phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of being, even though it's technically in Wolford, just outside of Lubbock, I mean, like 10-minute drive from campus and from the stadium, Evie Mays, I think is the best pad that is, or just within very close proximity to college, just phenomenal Texas barbecue. That's way up there. But then you got to think about TCU and all the stuff in Fort Worth. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm going to Evie Mays for barbecue.
How about to get a slice? What kind of pizza we got to have?
This is going to be a very Homer thing for me to do, but my heart belongs to Satchel's in Gainesville.
Okay.
You can build your own slice there. They have phenomenal calzones on top of that. But the real secret is, I think only on Fridays. I don't even know if they do they used to do deep slices. I mean, deep dish. It's not really deep dish. It's not like anything you've had in Chicago or anywhere else. It's really just super thick pan pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Where you lay the cheese over the top all the way to the edge so it caramelizes. So it's like Pequod's Chicago, but without, it has soft underneath.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my Homer pick. But with that said, had some really good. I'm a big Detroit style guy.
Oh yeah, I like Detroit style pizza
around the country. There have been some good places there, but I'll stick with Satchel's. In terms of ice cream, you got to go dairy store. Have my dairy store rankings out there. I think you can make a really strong case among the top 4. I think Washington State, NC State are the right there, but Penn State, Wisconsin are the 2 that, you know, given day, I would between for 1 spot.
Yeah.
But with that said, University of Maryland has a very, very small creamery in the Union. It's been there over 100 years now, and they actually sell it in the stadiums. And I can't remember they had a flavor when I was there for a game against Southern Cal that spoke to me in a way that ice cream. I mean, it was like a salted caramel pecan. It was like it was almost like the turtle flavor that you see in Louisiana a lot, mixed with praline, mixed with salted.
Yeah.
It was just all kind of thrown together in the perfect way. So I'm actually going to say, in terms of just smoothness, crispness, for just one particular flavor of ice cream, I'm going Maryland off the wall.
Terp. I'm all right with that. Yep.
So I got one left.
Yeah, this could be a wild card. We could go burger on this. We could go loaded fry. We could go a drink of choice if that's your predilection.
I mean, look, you don't get a fist flag without a little bit of that. We'll say one of the, just off the top of my head, great brewery. Obviously Van Athens, Creature Comforts, phenomenal.
Yes.
In Iowa City, another, like Bloomington, like I would also argue Fayetteville, very underrated college town. Iowa City, they've got a place called Big Grove.
Okay.
That has some very good beer, but also just one of the more fun, just Friday evening, getting some happy hour drinks before you go grab supper places.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure how it is in November, but in September, that place is a vibe.
Yeah.
So I guess we can throw that in there. I'm sure there are going to be some. Like there was one, I did a little college baseball tour this spring, a weekend after I'd be out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for work. And when going through, I also went up to Oklahoma. And when I was in Stillwater, it's like a little kind of Asian noodle bar that's apparently tucked back in this market that you wouldn't put it.
Yeah.
Unless you've been told about it. And they told me that. Unfortunately, I was there on a Sunday for the baseball game, and they were on Sunday. Yeah.
Dagger.
To get to experience that, I'm sure there's going to, as soon as I'm going to think of like 4 or 5 places that are just little hidden hole in the wall places I've been that were phenomenal. So, there are, at some point, I need to do more rankings, not just because that gets a lot of followers and views, but I like to do stuff that's off the wall, because people will argue if you're ranking like best stadiums.
Yeah.
There are 1,000 different ways of looking at that. Best road trips, whatever. People get really upset about that stuff. So I like to do more, a little bit off the wall rankings. Like I did one, for quarter zips. So which college towns have the highest rate of quarter zips, and just to spoil the fun, it is without a doubt Charlottesville, Virginia. That place has the highest quarter zip per capita that I've ever seen.
1,000% could see that. Yeah.
When it's even a step above, Ole Miss, Clemson, some of the others. Yeah, that place is up there. So I'll have to think about this. Maybe I'll do some food ones, like best late night spots.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. Like
there's a lot of really, really great places that are open late. I mean, you've got the food trucks at Rutgers that have kind of become famous over time for just having kind of their fat sandwich. There's a place, here's a good one that's hidden and tucked away in Aggieville, in the Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas.
Yep. EMA.
Yeah. Every man a Wildcat, baby. They've got a lot of cool stuff there. Kansas State is also just one of those underrated, very fun places to go. And there's, I forget the name of the bar, but it was like lab. I was figuring out how to get to the bathroom. Realized that they acquired 2 or 3 different spaces, figured a way to knuckle all and move between them, but had different patios were kind of staggered. I figure out this place worked. Well, I finally get outside and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the Varsity Donuts truck that is supposedly somewhere in there. And I'm like looking how to get there. And I swear you walk down this really narrow path between 2 of the buildings and you come to a dead end. And it looks like if you turn either way, you're going to get murdered. And I think maybe if I'd turned the wrong way, that would have happened. But the other way, you kind of come around the corner and there's this bright, shining truck selling you a maple bacon topped donut 1:30 in the morning, and you never experienced anything better in your life. So,
No, I can't imagine that there would be much better than that, especially that time of day.
yeah, that's what was
Dude.
shining.
I love that. It's funny to me that and only because I have recency bias, but I was in Chicago last week for a day for Big Ten Media Days, and Pat Fitzgerald specifically mentioned going to Iowa City in his year off, and he tailgated, and he's like, you guys in the media get to do this, and I don't get to do this. And he's like, tailgating is awesome. It's like, yes, Pat, it is out freaking standing. But it also made me chuckle because I was like, could you imagine rolling up to the beer pong table or the flip cup table and Pat Fitzgerald's Butkus award-winning ass is standing across from you? God, dude, I would have laughed out loud.
I mean, I think I made that comment on a clip you posted from your interview with Jeff Collins. Like, he's going to go around the games this fall. And I mean, is he just going to bring the swag chalice with him? You just show up and there are people playing flip cup, and then there's Jeff Collins just standing in the corner with swag chalice, just sipping some like neon green monstrosity.
Yes, I told him this. I was like, first off, his energy is off the charts. Like, it's incredible.
Well, it's crazy to me how many people in the ACC hate him now, just because of the way things played out. When he was the defensive coordinator at Florida, we loved him. Some of the stuff he brought in there still exists to this day.
Well,
like
I will tell you this.
That kind of thing.
We've been so fortunate to have so many folks come on the show, and I don't know that we have had as much positive feedback from a guest as we did from Coach Collins because of former players and former guys that coached with him. Like, dude, the outpouring was crazy. And so obviously his players love him. Like,
right.
It's just funny. It is so funny to me, and I'm sure you've noticed this too as you've traveled, but dude, there's just so much passion in this sport that we love. And so what happens is that gets in between sometimes our humanity and our ability to look at people. And it's just so funny, man, because we have really by necessity, just you get to talk to people and you're like, this person's awesome. Right. And it's like, I maybe wouldn't have thought that 3 weeks ago. And then like your whole brain kind of flips on, and it's like, I think the game is full of so many incredible characters. And I think that's what makes the tapestry so rich is there's so many incredible folks. And then you also then start to learn through their stories, dude, all the people that you don't even know about, right? Like all these cool players or all these cool coaches or like staff members, and like, man, it's just incredible. Like I fall more and more in love with college football every single year, from learning new stuff or whatever it may be. Like that's why I love the stuff you do and post about, because we try to do the same thing where like you're posting about history of the game and stories. Like you did a post that went, I mean, dude, it was huge. You did a post on how Michigan got their uniforms and the kinship with Delaware, which I thought was incredible. And like those type of things is what makes the sport as rich as it is. And my hope is that given how rapidly things have changed on like, I guess you could say the economic side of things,
right?
I hope we don't lose all of that in the process. That's my one big area. Cause like economically, man, I'm totally cool with the money flowing and players getting paid and all the things, right? I just want to do that in a way where we still maintain what makes this what it is and not the NFL. And like, dude, the NFL is a great product. I'm not trying to knock that down or anything. It's just, it's different. And what's different is what we want to celebrate and keep. And so, yeah, I think that's part of what you're doing with what you're doing with your messaging is capturing that. That's why I think it's so great.
When I try to stay away from discussion, I mean, obviously, you know, my text chain, we talk about this stuff, but publicly, I try to stay away from stuff. And transfer portal and the way it's going. Obviously, there are people, including me, who are very frustrated the direction it's taken. Not necessarily with, you know, money being spread around, but just the way enforcement has been basically non-existent. And you know, you've got judges stepping in to just make decisions to rules they had no involvement in forming. And, you know, there's just been so much upheaval and lack of structure to the sport lately. But when you go to a game on Saturday, better yet, when I get there on Friday,
Yeah.
just something about stepping into a college town, being near campus, you feel that energy. Like, it is palpable. You feel it around you. And as long as that still exists in the sport, college football is not going anywhere. Like, you can expand the playoff to 128 teams. You can do whatever it is that gets people mad on Twitter. They're still going to show up if that feeling is the same. Because the same feeling I had walking into a Florida LSU game at 5 years old is what I'm still chasing every weekend. Like, that's why I keep coming back, because that memory is so strong. And it just kind of what you said, the traditions and pageantry and all the stuff that goes into making college football unique and different and just totally on its own among American sports. That's why people keep coming back. And that's really what I'm trying to capture.
I do think, to your point too, college football has a monopoly on the Friday, and that there is something so unique and special about that. And I think this is kind of the beauty and why America is so in love with football broadly, is there's so much anticipation. Like, dude, I'm a huge baseball fan, and being a baseball fan is not for the faint-hearted because there's so much volume. So, like, dude, you got to live and die with this thing 162 times. And, like, there's beauty in that, but there's also, hey, we can turn the page tomorrow and see another one. Whereas with football, you're only getting like 12 of these a year, maybe 14, maybe 15 if you're lucky, right? And so then you have all off season, you got to wait and anticipate and all these things. And then it's week to week. And so you got all this build up, all this anticipation. And then that Friday, man, is like, there's so much juice and so much energy. And then like the lead in into Saturday, like, God, it's magic. And college football has a monopoly on that. Like,
yeah.
It's not like that in pro football. It's not like that anywhere else in any other sport except college football. It's
funny.
man.
As you were saying that, I was kind of having a flashback to between my junior and senior year of college. I did an internship for a financial firm up in New York. And, I'm working at their headquarters building in Midtown Manhattan, just all the hustle and bustle that provides. And I end up talking with an older guy on my floor. I say older, he's probably the age I am now, but born and raised New York. I mean, had the accent, the whole deal. And he just couldn't understand why during my downtime while I was eating lunch at my desk, I'd be scrolling through college football message boards. He's like, what, college football? Like, who cares about that? To him, it was all Yankees and Red Sox.
Yeah. Yep.
The thing that really kind of flipped the switch in his head and made him go, okay, I could see that, said, look, if the Yankees play the Red Sox, they're playing a series, lose game one, okay, move on to the next one. And they're playing multiple series each season. So, like, what bragging rights do you have? I'm like, if my brother who went to Florida State, if FSU beats Florida one year, I have to hear about it every day, 365 days until the next one.
That's right.
I mean, you look at Ohio State, Michigan, anytime either team wins, and I love this, they immediately start saying, well, it's been 365 days since you beat us.
That's right. That's right.
And they start that counter at 365.
Yeah.
So by year two, it's like, it's been almost 700 days since you've beaten us.
Yeah.
So there is something unique to that buildup. Not just from a week-to-week basis, but even season to season, because of the way rivalries are. And I think that rivalry is so much deeper in college football than other sports. So it's a special sport. I hope people don't focus too much on all the Twitter back and forth, and instead just go to games or even watch who's on TV. Like, the magic that exists on Saturday continues to outweigh all the other stuff.
Yeah. Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. Well, look, Josh, man, I enjoyed the hell out of talking with you. Before we let you go, tell our listeners every way they can support you and follow you on your journeys this fall.
I mean, Instagram and TikTok are the main ones. I try to post stuff on, I still call it Twitter. I guess it's X now, but don't really post as much there, but it is there. YouTube's the one over the next year. Just if I could find some downtime away from work, would love to kind of put together some more long form videos.
Mm-hmm.
I also started a website that is mostly empty at this point. But kind of same deal. Once I've got some time and can kind of fill that out a little bit, it's cfbtravelguide.com. I'll hopefully have a lot more resources about some of the stuff we talked about, everything from kind of the details on travel and how I get rental cars for cheaper and stuff like that, all the way to here's a full game day guide if you're going to LSU for the first time. And here bars and restaurants and traditions and things you need to know about and see. So, there's so much you can talk about with each school and every place I visited. So I actually have just like this glut and backlog content just waiting to be made. And at some point I will make it, but I would say, yeah, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, it's all there. It's good stuff. And then check out the website.
Well, I don't know why you wouldn't already be following Josh, but if you're not, make sure and do that. It is just beyond worthwhile to follow, and it's a ton of fun, and he does a great job capturing all of it, man, capturing the magic of the sport that we love. So if you're here listening to this, you should be following him and following along on his journey. So, Josh, I can't wait to watch, brother. I enjoy the heck out of it, and I certainly will be watching more intently now that we chatted today. We got to link up this year. I got to get somewhere where you're going for a weekend, and we got to do it. I think we're kindred spirits in that, right? So we'd have a good time.
We've got some. I've got most of them laid out, so I'll be doing a little schedule review here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. All right. That sounds good, brother. Well, look, man, we're can't wait to follow, man.
All right. Sounds good. Appreciate it.